Hello YouTube, my name's Sean Connors and welcome back to The Outsiders. Now this video, originally I was going to do a Google Hangout live, but unfortunately I've got technical difficulties and it's pointless trying to get over those. It's not going to happen, so I might as well put together a video. I apologise about the background noise. We are likely to have that throughout the course of this video. Kids are being bathed as we speak, so I've taken this opportunity to put together a video now. Now, we're going to cover off a number of things in this video. Let's talk about the things we're not really going to touch on here. We're not going to talk about music, ambient lighting, anything like that, because that is part of props, but it's not the part of props really which I can help you. Anybody really can choose different music themes. You can choose lighting to create energy around the room. All great props, all wonderful things. We could even talk about physical props in here. I'm going to show you a couple of types of physical prop. This is one, bought this some years ago from an antique shop. We have quite a few antique shops here in the UK. This is a very small little chest with a little latch on it, but it's got a number of uniquenesses to it. So you'll notice that the actual sides pulling away, little secret compartments. I hold dice in it at the moment, but it's held potion bottles that I've created and all sorts of manners of weird and wonderful things that I've managed to put into this little chest. So antiques can be wonderful. You can always find something in an antique store that can be very useful to your games. But we're not going to touch on that here to some degree, although we are going to show you really quite advanced techniques in prop design. We're not even going to do pop-up theatre stuff, but I will show you one I've done before many times. I always find if you want to get quickly into a character when you role play, stick on a hat, something that you like, stick on come up with something that's going to be fun to do. So stick a dog collar on. If that's going to work with a blue shirt, it should work. I've done it before. And then just come up with a voice, something that you can easily throw yourself into, that's fun to do, and I think works quite well. I hope you agree. Anyway, I don't really want to spend too long talking about this because that's not what we're here to do. But it just shows you, with a little bit of ingenuity, anything around you can indeed be a prop. That came in the middle of a session just pure by chance. It was an ad lib thing I did. But there is many things that I've figured over the course of the years that are brilliant. Hats I love because they just give you an instant character. Glasses are good. So you get the feel. That's one side. But we can't focus there because that's not going to take you on any journey or show you anything else. Now, before we really get into the 5 key things that you'll need to consider when you're designing props, I need to show you some pens. Now, I reckon a reasonable selection of decent pens is worthwhile. There's a few bits in here. I've got a rubber, a ruler, I've got a few basic pens. Now, why am I showing you these? Well, these pens are calligraphy pens. These ones are the coloured pen variety. You'll notice the nib on them is an angled nib, allowing you to do all sorts of crazy designs, thick lines, small lines. They're brilliant, but also I have a series of pens going from 0.1 black pens right the way up to 1. Now these little beauties are fabulous. This is a uni pen here, fine line uni pen. These are great when you're talking about props. You can bring out little details in the prop. You do not have to be an artist for prop design. Okay, particularly the type of prop design we're talking about, which is really paper-based prop design. What you need to be good at, or what you need to consider, actually, can you use a pair of scissors safely? Can you use a photocopier? And basically, are you prepared to put in some hard work, some practice? You're going to make a lot of errors. There's going to be a lot of trial and tribulation and research. Research is the absolute key. So we're going to go through some of those steps now. Let me just move those momentarily out of the way. Now, practice, things do go wrong. Over the course of time, at first I tried to make maps, and I tried burning the maps because I felt that was the best way to do it. But of course, you make major disasters when you burn things because the paper gets very brittle. If you don't control the fire, you ruin the amount of effort and work that you've put in. So then I realised, after a few times, light bulb moment, why don't I actually tea stain? You know, oh my god, us British drink a lot of tea, why don't we tea stain this? That was the best technique of all time. Then I figured out that you tea stain and you could microwave. Now what I figured out is that when you tea stain anything to create age, and we'll look at that in a little while, you want to dry the paper out really quickly, not let it dry on its own. And the best way to do that is to actually microwave it. 15 to 20 seconds normally is all you need, and you can dry paper really quickly and create an effect. And if you're drying something in the microwave and it's on, you've kept it flat, it will dry very flat. If you leave it out as one sheet, it will often curl and crinkle. So you get used to a bit of trial and tribulation. And I'm not going to tell you all the techniques, but the point is, practice. So that a lot of practice has to go in. It's not difficult though. That's the beauty of this stuff. It's really not difficult. So research. Okay, so if you want to research things that interest you, I set myself a challenge before this video, and I spoke to people on my own little Facebook page, which was about, you know, what do you think about me trying to come up with something, you know, prop wise, what would you want to see? Universal sort of consensus was show us some props for the Titanic. Titanic's a great thing, you know, there's a lot of programs out there. So research will include things like library research, good quality books, which I really recommend a good quality book, library research, and even films. You know, films are great because they prod the mind's eye things that you think, I must have that, I want to do that. So they're great things for when you're researching. Here's a little something I picked up. It's called Remembering the Titanic. It's just basically a book. I'm just going to pull the book out for a moment. It also has the names of all the people that unfortunately perished in the book cover, which I kind of like that. I like the respect of that. This is the book itself, but the sort of detail that you get in a book like this, it comes with a CD, so it's got a little CD built in, which is also very nice. But you've got all the wonderful colour print pictures, all the sort of stuff you'd want to see, and also some bonus materials. So inside here we've got some wonderful little plates, and I'm hoping that will do justice to the Titanic. So great plates that can be photocopied up and used. So no skill there. So we're talking about photocopying, so no real skill there. Now I'm going to come back to the Titanic thing in a minute, because before I go into the stuff that I've done, I want to show you some stuff that was very early on that didn't quite work. So it works, but not quite to the level I want, and I'll talk you through what went wrong. Now this is one that I created years ago, and the idea is that it's about this is a one-off for a convention game. It's got all the details and the people that were involved in the Jack the Ripper murders. Now that was the idea behind it. Now there's two reasons why this doesn't really work. This would work very well in a modern day game, maybe even a board game it might work very well for. But the problem with it is that it's glossy. You'll notice the back side of it. You know, it's a giveaway. It's just a handout rather than a proper prop. It does a job. It's a functionality. I kind of like the map pins, but they themselves don't really give off the era. So it didn't quite work. I love the way it came out when I went to the printers and got it printed off. I'm very pleased with that, but it doesn't quite work. And also going alongside that, just going to grab these, some other bits that didn't quite work for obvious reasons. Now I created a suspect list for the game, and that's okay. You know, some of these are true suspects, some of them are not. There's some nice little touches on the paper, but again, the biggest cardinal mistake is it's blank on the other side. It doesn't really follow through for me. I love stuff that is double-sided and tricks the player's mind's eye, but that really doesn't do it. So unfortunately, that was a no-no. Then I did find some interesting things that have been useful later. So this one's quite good. So this is actually original Metropolitan Police headed paper. But the biggest mistake that I made, so here it is. This looks really good. This is a photocopy, slightly dyed, which is good, but again, not both sides. The paper's too big for the time period. You know, it just doesn't feel right. So in someone's hands, it's too big and too clumsy. These are little details that make a huge difference, you know. And then the final part, which is the real coup de grace mistake, I took an original Dijon letter and I blew it up to make it easier to read off the paper. And there's some nice touches here. We have some authentic watermarks that are nice, that came out on the printer really well. So you can actually see some smudge marks on that, which I really like, and little details here. But it just unfortunately does not quite work. Apologies about the phone in the background, but it'll ring off in a minute. But it doesn't really work, so it's too big. Again, right on the back, and the whole thing just doesn't work. But it's early ideas. Most of the works was there for me. I just needed to print it out and try and dye some of them, and you can see what went wrong. Now we're now 9 minutes 20 into the video. I'm going to pause this one, and we're going to come back in part 2 and start looking a little bit deeper at the things that actually did work.